Live from the Marsh Theater in San Francisco, it's the Will and Willie Show.
It's a live studio audience.
Yeah. And I'm Paul Wells.
He's Willie Brown.
And this is Will the Durst.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a decade, sporadically since we started doing podcasts in 2008. But I really want this show to be heard broadly. So I want everybody to know, for one thing, right now, the radio version is heard on KSCO.com, as well as AM 1080 KSCO, which is out of Santa Cruz. And I want to thank Michael Swirling and his entire staff for making us home. They were one of the 3 radio stations we had. And I want to thank everybody, and William O'Keefe, who's made it possible to do the show here.
Thank you, William O'Keefe.
And the entire staff of the Marsh, which has made it possible.
He called today. He's in Paris. He's on vacation.
Oh, is he?
Bill O'Keefe is
that's why I didn't pick up his phone. Yeah, he is. He called today.
Yes, he called in today.
Oh, great. He really is a generous guy, and he had me I went to a play with him the other day, which is a wonderful play.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful theater, the SF Playhouse. City of Angels is the play, thank you. And it's a San Francisco Playhouse, City of Angels. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a great play. And he had me hand them a check, which was quite generous. Just amazing.
Cool.
Individual.
Willie's talking about the play Beautiful, the Carole King, which is at, not the Golden Gate, the Orpheum.
Yeah.
There's a great line at the very beginning. Carole King is playing a piano, and she's young. She's like 19, and her mother says, "Yeah, stop playing the piano. Get a job. Your father, God bless his soul." And then Carole King says, "Ma, he's not dead. You're just divorced." And the mother says, "Yes, he's dead to me."
So Kelly DeSaint is our guest from his column in the SF Examiner, and it's sfexaminer.com, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. How long you been writing?
I Drive San Francisco.
The column? Or?
Yeah. How long you been doing the column?
Since May of last year.
Oh, cool.
So up to like 73 columns or something.
Jeez.
And this is our Q&A segment, and we're always privileged and pleased to have a special guest, Hillary Crosby, who's controller of the State Democratic Party.
California.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Is your middle initial R?
L.
Not a Rodman.
HLC.
Yeah.
HLC.
Right,
Not
HRC.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe you could be her double like that woman that was supposedly.
You know,
I know. But I did have pneumonia when I was 9.
Hillary Clinton.
So we have that
all of
in
her
common.
staff calls her HRC.
HRC.
Yeah, that's how they all refer to her. HRC.
I know, I'm HLC.
It should be HDRC.
Right?
That
Her middle name is Diane. Hillary Diane Rodham
Clinton.
Yeah.
all right. You have a question.
I have a question. So watching this year's Senate race in California, where we have Loretta Sanchez running against Kamala Harris, both Democrats, statewide office.
It's a close race, too, isn't it?
It's not that close a
80
race.
to 20 or something?
But it is a Democrat versus Democrat race. And in California, we have the top two primaries, so that it's the top 2 vote getters who advance to the general election. And I'm just wondering, what will happen in 2018? Will there be a Republican who can run for statewide office in California anytime in, say, the next 30 years?
Well, I don't know about the next 30 years, but for sure, there will not be a statewide Republican candidate getting through the primary to be one of the 2 in 2018. The quality of the bench among Democrats in the state of California exceeds almost every other state in the union, and when the Republicans and a few more conservative Democrats came up with the idea of this business of the runoff and being made up of whomever finished 1, 2, they had no idea that they were talking about empowering the Democratic Party. And that's what's happened, and there just are no Republican quality candidates that seem to be able to get through that labyrinth.
You say empowering the Democratic Party, but this is costing the Democratic donors in California a fortune. In Los Angeles in 2012, when Howard Berman and Brad Sherman ran against each other, two Democratic congressmen with almost identical voting records, they spent $11 million to settle that. So those are Democratic donors.
And Berman lost.
And Berman lost, that is correct.
Hey, you know, I defeated him too. And it didn't cost $11 million. As a matter of fact, I didn't spend anything.
There we
His
go.
opponent was Leo McCarthy. And I inherited the job.
And you inherited the job.
Yeah,
And you did a
because
wonderful job, too.
Nobody wanted either one of them.
That's right.
Wow.
That's why I'm waiting with Hillary and Trump.
Yeah. My theory is that on November 8th, Joe Biden is going to beat John Kasich for the presidency. Because I think they're both going to drop out between now and then.
Oh, you think they're both going to drop out?
Yeah, I think Biden's going to beat Kasich for the presidency.
Not
No, then
bloody likely.
wouldn't it be Tim Kaine and
No, they are not beholden to promote their VP candidates. They can do anything they want. Yeah.
Where is Tim
Each
Kaine?
party's got its own rules.
What would you do if Kamala couldn't finish? What would the Democrats do? Would they? I mean, obviously Loretta would have a leg up, but would you
run
have-
another candidate?
Yeah.
Find another candidate?
Yeah, or would it be the person who came in third would become the second?
I don't know. That would depend on how how Prop 11, which gave us the top two, how it was written. What does it say?
was stupid.
Well, years and years ago, in the state of California, if you were on the ballot, your name couldn't be removed from the ballot if you reached like the 25th of September before the November
Right.
election. My friend, late Phil Burton, was actually defeated by a dead man. The first time he ran. This guy died like the 29th of September, and the Republicans did not put any new name on the ballot.
So they didn't. I mean, the guy didn't even die just before the
No,
voters
no.
had like 5 weeks to to consider. Oh, geez, I don't know, Burton or the dead guy. I'm gonna go with the dead guy. What the
Well,
hell?
in reality,
how bad can he do?
well, in reality, I think Burton got overexposed. If he had never shown up anywhere, he would have been better off because there was nothing, you know.
That's my theory how Trump can win this thing if he slips into a coma for 2 months.
And says
I hear
nothing.
he's pretty popular in a coma.
That's Aleppo.
Or a comb over.
Does anybody else have a question?
That's Gary Johnson.
Come on up to the microphone. Thank you very much. Let's hear it for Hillary Crosby.
Hillary Crosby.
Hillary Crosby is with the Democrats now. I have a bumper sticker.
Isn't she the, what is she? The
Controller.
Controller.
Of the state This bumper sticker, I vote for Democrats. So this is like a blue. I think it should say, Kelly, should it say, I break for Democrats?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I would like to, I would put it on my car if it says, I break for Democrats. Well, you have a question. Anybody else have? We're shy today.
Do you have a question?
Go up to the microphone,
I have many
please.
questions.
State your name and where you're from.
My name's Phil Williams. I'm a cab driver from 1986. Willie, you've been in my cab twice, I think. Twice or 3 times.
Did he leave you?
It just pondered. So you break for Democrats. So does that mean you don't break for Republicans? You just hit them?
Best
and you
left
run them over?
unsaid.
Ah,
Thank you.
Yes.
that was just my question.
No, that was the whole question.
I have another question. Are you Paul Wells, the lobster?
Yes,
Oh my God.
It's the Rock Lobster, everybody.
that's 4, Mr. Mayor. We had 3 yesterday.
I thought 2 of those guys were lying.
That knew me from 25 years ago when I did mornings in
they
San
were too
Francisco.
young to have known you that.
I still do lobster once a week,
Where?
and I eat them more often than that. We are cannibals, lobsters.
Oh, you quite
It's
a
like
variety.
someone called me up on the air when I was doing mornings in San Francisco, and they said, and I was telling how to humanely cook a live lobster, which is basically you put it in the water and you have it warm and you make it a little hotter and they pass out like they're in a sauna that's too hot, and then you turn it up and cook them the rest of the way. And someone calls up on the phone and says, "You of all people, I'm from PETA, and how dare you talk about eating another creature?" You know, and I said, "Excuse me, what do you know about lobsters?" And they said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Lobsters eat their young. The only threat to a baby lobster are adult lobsters. That's the only thing a lobsterling needs to hide in the crevice of a rock underwater."
I had the same problem.
Yeah.
It's Wisconsin, though, so I was...
I would love another question.
All right, I have a question. Willie Brown.
Good.
November 9th. Do I go to Vancouver to learn Spanish?
I'm going to Australia. Dive the Great Barrier Reef.
Or do I go to Europe? I have friends who are leaving Germany who are afraid that the immigration thing is becoming a little, unbalanced in Germany. They're afraid.
Well, the reaction politically in Europe has clearly been reflective kind of what Trump is saying.
The nationalist, yeah.
That's the nationalistic tendencies is exhibiting itself in a very ugly way in some of those places. So I would think I think they're still interviewing for people on that new spaceship.
Maybe they need a court jester.
That's right. You might want to go be interviewed, Will.
That would make it a much easier voyage in space if we had a Will Durst on the fly.
Yeah. Get myself a Larapeep and maybe
I can tell you,
ventriloquist dummy or
by
something.
the way, the current Star Trek,
The new one?
Yeah.
Beyond?
Beyond, it's good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's like an homage to the original series.
That is correct.
Which is
In
50
particular-
years ago now.
Yeah, when the guy ends up on a motorcycle, I mean, can you imagine? And it looked like a Harley Davidson.
I bet it
Pretty
was.
cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Did anybody see the miniseries, the Harley and the Davidsons? Yeah, it was all right. It was all right. Yeah. I'm from Wisconsin. It was part of my natural heritage. I had to watch it.
I ran for mayor in 1995, and the incumbent mayor at that time was Frank Jordan.
Yes, it was.
And he was a former police chief.
And he had beaten Art Agnos,
He beat Art Agnos.
who beat me.
The police.
And Art was a one-termer as well, which was kind of karmic for
Art
Frank.
was one term, and
I gotta tell you, though, that-
and then Frank Jordan was one term, and then it was Frank Jordan versus Roberta Achtenberg versus Willie Brown. And my joke at the time, what do they all have in common? They all date white women.
Stop.
That was my joke at the time. So you won in '95, and then you had the best inaugural ball. It
Yes.
was at
Santana?
Pier. Yeah, it was at not only Santana, but you asked me to come in. So
Yes.
me and Deb and Mike.
But wait a minute,
so we
you
got to open for B.B. King. And B.B. King came out on stage, and I had just introduced Deb and Mike, and I'm sitting on stage, at the side, and B.B. King looks down and says, "That's my chair." That was my only interaction with B.B. King.
For the audience, though, you should know that it's been, it was early 80s. We start doing things.
Oh, yeah, you hired me to do the Sacramento thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s.
Because I could say stuff that you couldn't.
You were the Spiro T. Agnew? Well, that's too deep. That's an old
But
reference.
let me go
Wow.
back to my Harley Davidson.
Yes, please.
Is that where you're at?
You stepped all over it.
Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah,
Get on the
That's where
motorcycle.
we're going.
Wow. Wow, you're right. It was a bit circuitous, wasn't it?
I'm kidding you.
Sending.
I want the endorsement of the Police Officers Association. No way I'm going to get it. They hold their deal at Paramount for the endorsement. And, candidates march in and all that kind of stuff. When I arrive, at the Fairmount to go in to be interviewed.
And Jordan was the ex-police chief.
That's right.
So he
I
had
got
them.
no shot at all. There were like 25 solos as cops that ride motorcycles.
Yeah, yeah.
25 Motor Gustas parked in the area. All San Francisco police. So when I go in and they hear from Jordan and they hear from 2 or 3 other people, and then they said, all right, now we'll have Speaker Brown. So I stood up and I said, wait a minute, before I make a speech, I want to know who in the hell in this room is riding one of those Motor Gustas. When I'm mayor of this town, we going back to Harleys. I got the endorsement.
That's why when we were at,
No kidding.
Yes!
that's why all the motorcycle cops loved you.
That's right. I am an
Because we
honorary.
were doing the show at the Hotel Vitale,
I
yeah.
am an honorary solo here in the city. And then, of course,
And did you get
interest of my-
Harleys?
Oh, yeah.
You got them Harleys?
that's what they're riding now.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You know, the city people who make decisions about how you spend money, Mr. Mayor, you can't do that. What are you talking about? I can't do that. Well, the rules are. Don't tell me about the rules. I now make the rules. Oh, no, it ain't that kind of deal, sir. I don't know what you've been doing.
Rule number 1.
I even decide who's employed to enforce those rules.
To interpret them.
Interpret them. That's a good one. You have a question, Kelly, since you're still up here? You want to
About
throw in?
that suggestion that Art Agnos put in I think it was in the Chronicle or whatever, about putting all the homeless people on a ship into the bay.
On an aircraft carrier,
Aircraft carrier,
decommissioned
yeah.
aircraft carrier.
Yeah. What about that one?
And
Any-
he
any-
did that.
Huh?
He did that.
He did that during Loma Prieta.
1989.
Yeah, during Loma Prieta. So he says, let's do it again, and we'll just put all the homeless people on a ship.
Doesn't that sound like a science fiction movie?
Every day this city becomes more and more like a science fiction movie, doesn't it?
It's an open-air insane asylum, so that would be the next step.
It's like Terry Gilliam produced San Francisco, It's, so I can't figure out whether it's 12 Monkeys, the Fisher King, or Brazil. It's sort of maybe a combination of them all. But
San Francisco, 49 square mile circus in search of a tent.
I mean, it's like that's probably one of the most harebrained ideas I think I've heard yet to solve the homeless problem.
He's
but
pushing it. And the Chronicles seem to have embraced it, strangely enough.
well, the Chronicle is the Chronicle.
I write
Spoken like a
that.
true.
I know. But they
like
keep,
how
you
San
keep letting
Francisco
examiner writers on this show.
All right, gentlemen, come on.
Okay.
Come on, 30 seconds. Take your
Supposed to moderate here.
You know who always notices
Anybody
me the
else have a
most in
question?
the city are the bums. That's just people on the street. They always look and they go, "You're the right for the paper." I'm like, just quit stealing the paper so other people could get them. Just throwing them down the street,
This has been a fun show. And please tell
sound
friends
surprised.
to come by. I'm never surprised.
Yeah, no, you sound this.
We keep at this long enough. One day we'll get close
Yeah, we'll get
to
good
doing
at
a
it.
really good show.
Or the closest.
Can you recall when we had to do this for 3 hours
Every morning. Yeah.
We should have been
From
doing it for
7
4.
o'clock
At
till
6.
10 o'clock every day?
Every day, Monday through Friday.
And I would always show up just as the show.
6:59
Oh,
6:58.
or 7:01.
Yeah, because we had news until 7:07.
I knew I could roll the intro, and the hat would arrive with Willie Brown underneath it.
The best part, though, was that Willie does not suffer fools gladly, and in radio, the higher-ups always think they know how to run a radio show, so
Don't
they
they?
always have these meetings afterwards.
What was your
And-
nickname for our program director?
Old Bullethead.
Yeah.
And we didn't have one meeting.
never.
Never.
But then when we had a meeting, it was at the Hotel Vitale, and we were sitting at the Cafe Americano and having breakfast, and we had one meeting, and he stood over us and lectured us for about 20 minutes, and he walked away, and I'll edit this in the radio show. Willie Brown turns to me and Will and says, "Who the fuck does he think he is?"
We knew we were doing him a favor.
Yeah, I bet he didn't realize it at the end when they had to buy our contract
Will's got
out.
his gig. I got my gig. We didn't need him. I don't know what the hell's the matter with him. Paul's got his gig. Why do we were doing that station a big favor. It was fun though. At that hotel, I love that little guy. What was the little guy that used to make sure that I had
I don't recall his name. but
my
he'd come from-
cappuccino
he'd
would
come from
arrive
behind
just
the bar.
ahead of me. You remember that
He'd
guy?
be waiting to see you
Oh
come
yeah.
in.
Oh man, he was groovy.
Yeah.
And as soon as we no longer were there, they fired him.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got rid of him like that.
Because he never rang it up.
Do you know how much it costs to make a cappuccino? It's like a dime.
So, October 11th,
All right,
live
next
from the
one.
Marsh Theater, November 1st, live from the Marsh Theater. Thank you for being a great studio audience.
Live here at the San Francisco Marsh Theater.
The Will and Willie Show,
1062,
starring
pleasure.
Will Durst and Willie Brown, is a Flow Communications production. Special thanks to the Marsh Theater, our AV crew, Ace and Hugh of RealityCheckTV.com, and especially our executive producer, William O'Keefe, and to Tiger Lynn with one N, and TigerLynn.com for her music from the CD Soulfire, and you can get us on the internet at willandwillie.com.